Strange lights in George Washington National Forest. Just looking to see if anyone else has experienced anything similar, or if people could possibly have explanation. The other night, me and a couple of friends were camping, and at around 4 in the morning, with me being restless, I was awake, and on the side of the tent I saw 2 dim lights. I thought nothing of it, at the same time thinking it was my friend's phone that could have been turned on in his sleep, with it being so dim, so I tried to go back to sleep. Later that morning, both of my friends talked about seeing those same lights at around the same time, and how no one had any idea what they were. I've thought about it, and to the best of my knowledge, there was no other camper or even campsite in the area, and especially not in the direction that the lights were. The road was also on the opposite side of the woods, so where we were was pretty forested and very cloudy, so I don't think it was moonlight. I don't know if it's important to the story, but in this stream, about 100 feet away from the campsite, the morning after, me and one of my friends found a pretty big piece of what I think was obsidian in the stream. I never left or looked outside the tent, so I have no idea what it could have been, so I'm open to any ideas, and in advance, thanks for the help. A tall, skinny creature spotted on trails. Me and my neighbor, I'll call him M, walked to the shore and didn't get back to our apartment complex until it was completely dark outside. It was a pretty chilly night, and it was rather early in December. It was about 9:30 p.m. In order to get to the apartments, we had to walk through a stretch of road with no street lights and covered by trees. Usually, you can use the moonlight that shines through the spaces in the leaves to see. Since it was December, it was rather cloudy, so not a whole lot of moonlight was there to light our way. There's a small entrance to the trails that leads up to the cemetery behind the apartments. We smelled something like a decaying animal. We both assumed it was a deer that may have died, as that's extremely common around the apartments. However, my friend M decided to point the flashlight at the entrance of the trails. We both saw a tall figure crouched down. I'm about 5'9", and it would have easily been eye level to me. It was really skinny, a pale grey. It had long limbs and either really sunken in eyes or none at all. All I saw was 2 black sockets. The way I describe it is, it looked like someone had taken decayed skin and wrapped it around a skeleton. We both ran until we got back to M's apartment. We still don't know what we saw that night. We tried to figure it out, but we never got any answers. It's common for creepy stuff to happen at that apartment, as again, there is a cemetery right behind the building, just through the woods. Another story from rural AK. When I was younger and more ambitious, in my early teens, I loved exploring the mountains of my home village and the gates of the Arctic National Park. I knew about how dangerous the caves would be in the mountains and never liked to go near them, but I loved waterfalls, big or small, that fell from great heights in the summer. One year I had just received a Hyundai Foreman 500 as a gift from my mum. I rarely receive physical items as I'm not much of a materialistic person, but I do enjoy getting vehicles that I can use for hunting as a present every now and then. Usually they're older models, so they aren't as expensive as newer models, but I love them just as much and I take care of them as best I can. Anyway, I was driving my new Honda through an old trail that I only knew of as a snow mobile trailer in the winter. I had recently learned about the summer trail and decided to go and explore the valley it led into. While driving, I began to have that eerie feeling of being watched. The hairs on my body stood up, and I could feel where I was being watched, like I instinctively knew which direction to look into. I did my best to keep on the old rocky trail, and then began to glance over my left side as frequently as possible. I think that as a hunter I have developed a better sense of when I'm being watched, and as I did, I noticed a dark figure keeping up with me. It stood tall, what I presumed to be about 8.5 feet tall, and it was keeping up with me as if I was only going 20 miles an hour on a fairly smooth but slightly rocky trail. I kicked the Hyundai up into a higher gear and sped up. I only stopped feeling like I was being watched and that it was right behind me after I left the willow thicket. When I was able to, I looked back and watched the willows again. Keep in mind, these are diamond willows that stand at about 10 feet tall, and I started to see the creature again. It was nearly as tall as the willows, and it brushed through them with ease, as if it was phasing through them or something. I haven't returned to that trail in some time, but I would like to return with my cousins to see if we can get some sort of video footage of whatever it is. Encounter with a black wolf-like creature in the Tennessee woods. This is my first post here, so I'm sorry if it isn't descriptive enough, but I tried to give as much detail as I could. Growing up in Tennessee on a small farm bordered by a forest, I encountered numerous of unexplainable events. But one series of occurrences remains a mystery to me to this day. Around the age of 12 or 13, I started having reoccurring dreams set in the forest, a place I frequently visited. In these dreams, I encountered a large black wolf with glowing red eyes. Strangely, each sighting of this wolf proceeded with a death on the farm within the day or two, typically involving a chicken falling prey to a predator. During my final dream involving the wolf, a woman's voice accompanied its presence in the forest. I could hear her, but she was away somewhere out of my line of sight. Though her words are now hazy in my memory, I recall her saying, "Do not fear the wolf," among some other things. As the wolf circled me, I didn't feel fear, but rather a deep sense of respect for its ancient power. After that last encounter, I never saw the wolf again, but the dreams felt more vivid than reality. Since then, I have wondered about the identity of the wolf and the woman in the forest. These dreams marked the beginning of my fascination with the paranormal, leading to many more inexplicable experiences. I've often wondered if I connected myself with the forest and maybe a spirit that lived within it, or maybe even a Native American presence during those encounters. Anyway, thanks for listening. I've been hearing this whistle and it's creeping me out. So I've been hearing this creepy bird-like whistle since I was 18. For context, we live at the countryside. There's a sugarcane field at our back door, and behind the field is a set of woods. The field was wide, so it was a bit far from our home. I don't know when exactly I started hearing this, but as I remember, I've started to hear it at the age of 18. I'm now 20, so it's been roughly 2 years. At first I paid no mind to it, but I noticed that I've been hearing it near my apartment, the one that I'm staying at for college, so not even in my home anymore. I moved apartments, so it was the second apartment that I was in, and it is also near a set of woods. It was located at the end of the street at the time. I went out alone to buy myself some snacks because I was pulling an all-nighter for my project, and that's when I heard the whistle again. Now, I don't really want to overthink it too much, but I told myself that I might be just imagining it, or maybe hearing a bird call wrong, But when I heard it that night, it really creeped me out. I think I heard it last in February this year. And now it's starting up again. I'm hearing it every time I go home to the countryside. Should I be concerned, or am I just being paranoid? I received a strange response to a whistle in the woods. For context, most people have probably heard the shave and a haircut 2 bits jingle/knock before. A few years ago in college, I worked the opening shift at a coffee shop. In the summertime, I would get up early as soon as the sun rose and stop by a trail. Sometimes it was on my way to work, just to, wake myself up with a quick walk. The trail was only accessible off a narrow, long-winded dirt road, and this dirt road was off a main road with no houses. The trail was poorly marked, so not many people would ever stop by it. And if there ever was anyone else, you would either see their car parked in the small 3-car gravel lot at the trailhead, or you would have passed them on the narrow dirt road. You would have to walk a long way down the main highway just to get there otherwise. So, back to the shave and a haircut bit. I parked there one morning, just kind of sitting in my car with the window down, when I heard a bird singing what sounded like 2 bits. The section at the end of the song. Tired and trying to find humor in having to be up so early, I kinda laughed and whistled the shave and a haircut part and waited for the bird to whistle. Whistle, back, response, etc. And it worked. We went back and forth in our little game a few more times until the bird stopped responding. So I figured it flew off. Before I got out of my car though, I gave it one last whistle, and I'm glad I did, because as soon as I whistled the shave and haircut section, I waited for a response, and I heard 2 very loud and very human claps in the 2 bits rhythm, not far from where I was parked. Safe to say, I drove the heck out of there, and there was no one on the road for miles. Not the most terrifying story on here, but it was weird for me, and it always weirds me out thinking that someone may have just been out there in the woods watching me alone in my car. Hello everyone, Grimm here. Thank you very much for listening. If you liked today's video, please like and subscribe. Leave a comment down below. Be safe wherever you are. Have an amazing night or day, and as always, I am Grimm, and I'm